Hi, I'm Judith Patterson. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Texas, and today I'm going to show you how to create a card from the catalog. It is celebration time in my Stampin' Up! World right now. It'll last until the end of August. So I'll be making a card from our celebration brochure today. And I'm actually going to be using two celebration items. The one I'm focusing on is this amazing freezing stamp set that is exclusive to celebration. It's a great sentiment set that has a lot of words and phrases that you can combine together to make unique sayings. I really am liking playing with that this week. But the other thing I'm going to be using is the 6x6, well, the other celebration item I'll be using is the 6x6 silver and gold specialty paper. And let me just switch cameras real quick so that you can see on my desktop here exactly what this paper looks like. So as you can see, it is white and silver and gold, and we have stripes in the silver, stripes in the gold, and then we've got the dots in the silver and the dots in the gold. And let me even see if I can get that focused in for you a little bit better up close. And I've already been using this for other projects since I got it last month. It is very versatile and fun to use because you can add color to the paper, which is what we're going to be doing today. And like I said, it's 6x6 paper, and you get 24 sheets per pack, so that means you get 6 each of each design. So 6 of the gold spots, 6 of the gold stripes, etc. And it's free with a $50 purchase this month. So also very handy. Alright, let me show you what card we're going to be making today. It's here on page 10, and it's this one that says, hey, 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 you did it. So this was hard to choose. All of these are really good, but I decided to go with that one, partly because my Ray of Light stamp, this is probably the one I like the best on this layout, but it's not here yet. I had to order it. So I'm going to go with this one, and I am making some changes. This is from the Seasonal Labels die set that coordinates with the Christmas to Remember stamp set and the Christmas season stamp set. So, but it's great for all the other stamp sets too. It's good for so many things, including this card, obviously. And this die set is on my wish list, but I don't have it yet. So instead of using that, I'll be using the Painted Labels die set. And these are the dies that come in that. I've taken them out of their original packaging and put them on a magnet sheet just to keep up with them a little bit better, and so I can see what I have. But I'm using this one right here. It's not the same size as the other one, but it's close enough. It works well. And so let's get started. So I went ahead and cut out my basic white cardstock with that die. I usually stamp first and die cut later, but for this one I found it easier to do my die cutting and then my stamping. So I'm going to be stamping with 3 different colors, but then I'm also going to be using another color for my blending brush. So that Tahitian Tide I'll be using with my blending brush in a minute. But I'm going to start with Pacific Point down here on the bottom of this card. So you may be noticing I'm not using colors that are in that picture in the brochure. Instead, I don't know why I grabbed my blending brush just then. Instead, I'm using a different color scheme, a color combination, but I have made the one that was in the catalog, so I'll show you that at the end. And I've also made another color combination. I like this one so much, I decided let's play with some color and see what it looks like with some different combinations. So that was the Pacific Point. So I'm just cleaning my stamp set off a little, or my stamp off a little bit. I have a paper towel over here on the side that's damp, so I'm just stamping it in that a couple of times, and then I'm drying it on a microfiber towel that I have beside me. I don't want to completely clean it. I just want it clean enough to where I'm not getting ink from one pad to another pad, especially because I started dark and I'm going light. Typically I say do it the other way, start light and then go dark, but as long as you make sure you have all the ink off, you should be good. So that second color I used was Pear Pizzazz, and now I'm going to be using Blushing Bride at the top. So remember to always just tap. You don't want to press too hard when you're inking up your stamps. So now I'm just going to let that set in that paper towel until I get ready to clean it with my chamois. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is grab a piece of that silver specialty paper, the dotted piece, and I'm going to use, like I said before, I'm using my Pacific Point No, I'm not. I said before that I was using Pacific Point, but I'm not. I'm going to clean my brush here a little bit in the corner just to get some of that Pacific Point off. And I'm actually using the Tahitian Tide. This is one of our in colors. Really like this color, so I'm going to use it on the bottom. I'm just inking up my blending brush really well. If you've watched my videos before, you know I like to use one brush for my blues, one for my pinks, one for my greens, and so on. And I've learned that if I don't clean them, then I can just keep, they get saturated with ink, so it's easier to pick up your ink and add it on. But I do like to brush off some of the ink before I switch to a new color, especially when I'm switching from dark to light. Okay, so that looks good. I think I still have quite a bit of that Pacific Point actually in this brush. Just gonna keep swishing it for a minute. Okay, and now I'm grabbing my green, and I'm gonna use that Pear Pizzazz. That's gonna go across the middle here. So I have cut this piece already to 2.5 inches by 5.5 inches to fit along the front of my card. And then the final color I'll be using is that Blushing Bride again. A little bit more out of here. I think the last color I used this with was Melon Mambo, so it was pretty bright. This is a very light pink, so let's see if I did that well enough. Oh yeah, that looks good. It is better when you're doing the blending brush and you don't have anything to really hold your paper down. It's good to go from the corners and across the shortest edge. Sometimes when I try to go this way, I will end up creasing my, see, just like that, I'll end up creasing my paper. So just be really careful and aware that that's something that can happen, so that you catch it before you get a deep crease in there. And then once it folds, it just keeps wanting to fold in the same spot, so that's kind of a pain. But it'll be alright. Once we get it glued down, it won't be a problem at all. Alright, so there I have my Blushing Bride, my Pear Pizzazz, and my Tahitian Tide. Love this color combination. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and glue this down to my basic white cardstock I've cut out for the front. This piece is also 5.5 inches by 2 3/4 inches. So it's just a smidgen bigger than my specialty paper here. And I'm using liquid glue because that gives me a little bit of time to straighten that up and get my edges even. Looks good. Then I'm going to grab a piece of Pacific Point cardstock. This is just a scrap I have. And I'm going to get my embossing buddy. And these are a bit part of a kit. An embossing essentials, I think is what it's called, a kit in the mini catalog. They're very, very handy. I totally recommend one if you do a lot of embossing. And in the kit you also get a little tray that you can pour your powder into, or when you're pouring your powder over your Versamark, you can pour it into that tray to pick it up, and it comes with a little brush and some tweezers. Very handy kit. Okay, so I'm just stamping that Versamark. I'm stamping "You Did It." And whenever I store my Versamark, I always store it upside down. That way all of the ink is at the top. Instead of sinking down to the bottom where it doesn't do me any good. So this is just white embossing powder. And then I'm going to heat emboss it. So just pardon me a second. While I do that, it's going to get kind of loud. I'm going to get that powder out of the way. Okay. Now that that is melted, I'm going to use my paper snips to cut around it. So I'm pretty much just doing straight lines except for around the bottom part of the Y here. I'm going to go ahead and come in and go around it and then straighten back up and cut the rest of this off. And I just want to place it right over my die cut and make sure that it's not covering up those words too much. I think I can stand to trim it just a little bit more. And the card in the catalog, I notice, has it going a little bit, I can't remember if it's a little bit wider. Yeah, it looks like they cut the sides to be about even with the edge of the tag there, or not the tag, but the die cut, but I am cutting mine a little bit narrower than that, and I'm cutting it pretty close to the top of these highest letters and these lowest letters. Afraid that got very close. Let's see. I did get very close, but it'll be alright. Remember, no stress stamping. We're having fun here. Okay, so I like that. It's kind of at a saucy angle. That's fun. And I have, this is mini Stampin' Dimensionals, but I'm down to just the edging. You don't need minis for this. You can do regular Stampin' Dimensionals. That's fine. I just wanted to make sure I used up all of the bits that are left over on this sheet of dimensionals. So I just cut and use the extra parts. Okay, so I'm using that to attach this right across here. I really like the size of that. Alright, and then I have a Tahitian tied card base. Let's clear all of this off just a little bit. Let's keep the mess to a minimum. Okay. So again, just putting the liquid glue on the back. It really doesn't matter what order you do your colors in. I just recommend trying to keep the order the same as your stamps. Alright, so I have a little bit of linen thread here, which is great because it goes with literally anything. And I'm just going to tie 2 bows. So I'm going to start with this one. I want a little bit more string on the end of that. I'm sure there's other ways to do this, but this is the way I found it to be the easiest. So I'm going to tie 1 bow. And then I'm going to cut this right here close to the knot. And I'm going to use a glue dot. First I'm going to fold this over. Just like so. Then I'm going to place a glue dot on here to hold all of this kind of together the way I have it, because I don't want it looking like a bow so much. So I want those loops to be on the same side. And then I'm going to attach it up here behind this. And then I'm going to do that again. I like tying my bows right on my spool, because I like to waste as little thread as possible, and I'm never really sure how much I'm going to use. Plus it's just easier whenever I'm not keeping both, I don't know what you call these, both strings that are hanging down. I'm just keeping the one. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to fold this over. Just kind of straightening things out a little bit like I want them. Trim off that end. And then I'm going to flip this one over and place a glue dot right on the back of it, the same way I did the other one. Kind of got a little wild with that one, but it's okay. Then I'm going to put it a little bit lower down on the opposite side. Okay, so now I'm going to pretend these are dimensionals, not edges. I'm just going to place some of these on the back here. I don't know about you, but I like to use all of my little pieces of Designer Series paper, and I like to use all my little bits of Stampin' Dimensionals. I keep a lot of my cardstock scraps because you never know when you're going to need a tiny little piece. And I hate cutting a big piece just for a small piece. Okay, so then I'm using those dimensionals just to apply this right here to the front. And we are ready to go with that one. So one more thing you can do is grab your inside piece. So this is a basic white cardstock. It's 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And then if you have a scrap of that specialty paper left to match the front, go ahead and grab it, and you can put some of the pink on it. And I may not even have to re-ink. Okay, and then I'm going to put some green in the middle. And then I'm going to use that blue on the bottom. And look at that, I didn't have to re-ink any of that. That's amazing. Okay, so this piece is a little long, so I'm going to go ahead and cut off the end so that it is 5 1/4 inches also. I have a lot of blue down here, so I'm going to cut that end off. Okay, and then I'm going to use just my liquid glue again. place this right here along this edge. Well, not exactly along the edge. I want to leave just a little space so there's a little bit of a border there. Then add some more liquid glue. And place this inside. And whoops, I slid that up. There we go. That looks good. And that looks good. So, again, this was Blushing Bride, Pear Pizzazz, Pacific Point, and Tahitian Tide. Then the original card from the catalog. This is Coastal Cabana, Crushed Curry, Mint Macaron, and Bermuda Bay. They all use the linen thread. And then this one, purple is my favorite. So of course I had to do a purple one. This is Gorgeous Grape, Granny Apple Green, Night of Navy, and Highland Heather. So I don't know which one is your favorite, but I think this one is my favorite just because it's purple, and purple is fabulous. It's the color of royalty, right? So, and we all want to be princesses, or at least I always have. Okay, so I think that's all I have for you guys today. Don't forget, celebration ends at the end of August, and there's not only the things, well, some of these things from the brochure are starting to sell out, but there's also been some things from the catalog that have been added, which is super fun. So I know that there's a dots die that has been added. And oh my goodness, I've blanked, but I will put a link to Celebration in the description so that you can see all the things that have been added and everything that is available with your Celebration selection right now. And as a reminder, to be able to add these free to your purchases from my online store in the US, you need to make a $50 order or a $100 order depending on what you're wanting to select. And of course, if you make a $150 order, then you can select something for $100 or something for $50 or 3 things that are $50. You get the gist. And if you have any questions, as always, feel free to send me an email or a Facebook message and let me know, and I'll do my best to help you get those questions answered. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already and you would like to see more, hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Happy stamping.